Bible's the mark of the beast. Today I want to tell you a little about time so that you'll understand the dispensation of time, the times that we're living in. And it's the most unusual time in all the history of mankind. Now notice throughout history you can look in your rearview mirror and you can see what's behind you. So you can see that Jesus was born. Now in Ecclesiastes it tells us to everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. So God does things in a certain orderly manner, in a certain time. And I want you to be able to discern the signs of the times today so that you'll be prepared to meet God. All right, in Galatians, this is looking backwards now, and you can see this. But when the fullness of the time was come, God sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law. Now you know that Jesus came. There was a lot happening in those days. John the Baptist was born. Elizabeth, Zacharias, well, they had a son, they called him John. He was filled with the Holy Ghost from his mother's womb. He was in the wilderness crying, make way, the paths of the Lord, make straight. So now I want you to see what's happening today. Why am I out telling you that the Bible's an idol and the Bible's the mark of the beast?
It's time.
So it's time.
People are trying to live in a time that is past instead of living in the time they live in. They're living in the 2,000 years ago time.
Now that's a good point of view. They're living in this, so they live in the past. Satan's got them living in the past, especially about religious things. And at the wedding feast, his mother Mary told him, said they don't have any more wine. You see, she knew he was a special born child of the Holy Ghost. She knew he had special powers and everything. So she told him, she said, they don't have no more wine. And Jesus said unto her, woman, what have I to do with you? Mine hour is not yet come. I'm not anointed king yet. I don't have rule over all these things yet. I'm anointed to be it, but I'm not yet. And see, Jesus wasn't king till when he came back from the grave. He said, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. So you can see this time. The reason I'm showing you this is so you can see what has happened, but you can't see what is happening.
Well, like he spoke to you, the Bible is an idol in 1970, but it wasn't time to bring it forth in a big way until now to the whole world.
Okay, now look what Jesus would tell them about what I'm telling you today. He said, you hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it that you do not discern this time? You see, you can get a weather forecast of all the low pressure areas and the jet stream and all that stuff, but you can't tell what's going on in the world. You got no prophets today. You got nobody doing the things of God.
No real prophets. You got Bible prophets that claim they know if they're interpreting the Bible, the prophesy, and they always get it wrong. Every generation has had that.
So, and when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. So you see now, this was the time that God had scheduled. He told it through Joel. He said, I'm going to pour out my spirit in the last days. Okay, God had ordained that to be so. There they were speaking in tongues, and that was the end of the Jews. The Jews' time was over. They had committed the abomination that made desolation. They crucified the Messiah, and they were scattered into all the world.
Their time of their country and their temple and the law. Now, some of the Jews continued, but they had to be under the new covenant as well as the Gentiles.
Now watch this. It said, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, talking about the Jews, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Now the times of the Gentiles is fulfilled, because look at your world today. You don't have one Holy Ghost church. Constantine set up the Catholic priests, and they had the Catholic church until the Protestants come along, and they was just like their mother, the old harlot. They built the big harlot up on many waters, and they built Mystery Babylon. You can see it. They built it on this.
The time of the Gentiles. the Catholics and the Protestants, they're the Gentiles, and they're the ungodly Gentiles, the harlots.
So now it's over. You see, the Gentiles' time is over. Because look what they done. They didn't build on Holy Ghost churches. You can't even have a Holy Ghost church today.
They reject the Holy Ghost for the Bible. They want the Bible and not the Holy Ghost.
Yes, so
Their time is over.
this is the time now for end time. This is the half times. So you're moving in this, and most people don't even know that. Now I want you to see this. The next one, I want you to see this. See if you can discern the signs of the times. Now this is in the book of Revelation, the 15th chapter. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten victory over the beast, over his image, over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of God. Now what did he see? He seen them that had got the victory over his mark, over the number 666, over his name, King James. He seen them, they had victory over it. There's 2,300,000,000 people under this. They don't even know that it's the last days, that we're living in the last days, and you must get victory over this beast. Now there's a few of them getting the victory, but this is where you're at in time today. So if you don't pay attention to this message and get victory over the beast, you won't be prepared to meet God, because you're going in there and say, Lord, I kept your word. He said, that's not my word. So look today, you're at the time that people are getting victory over the mark of the beast. And you best pay attention, because this is very, very serious times we're living in. Jesus could sound the trumpet any day, and the trees, a third of the trees, I think about a third of the trees are already burned up in California. They said 12 million trees, more than 12 million trees have been destroyed in California. So watch for these things. And you need to get victory over the mark of the beast. And this is it right here. You got it in your hand. You got it in your head. So we're helping you. This is a last day ministry, because you've never heard anything like this. They won't even let me preach on the streets. They won't let me in no churches, because Satan does not want you to know it's end time. You got to get victory over the mark of the beast.